Uh, inshallah, we will start in a few seconds with Allah Ta'ala. But yeah, but before we start, inshallah, just a very quick reminder for the procedure for the halaqah, inshallah, Allah Ta'ala, or the program. Inshallah, Allah Ta'ala, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the ikhlas and tawfiq. So just a reminder for the COVID-19 restrictions, as we are limited to 30 people inside the masjid, alhamdulillah. And also, those who can, inshallah, join us through the Facebook and virtual world. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم إنا نسألك في هذه الليلة خير ما أنزلت فيها من خير وبر وعافية فاجعل لنا منه أوفر الحظ والنصيب وما أنزلت فيها من شر وبلاء وامتحان فاجعلنا فيها من الصابرين يا رب العالمين آمين اللهم آمين. I ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to grant us and make us among those who worship Him subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely. Alhamdulillah, Rahmah Center organized this event for 3 nights. And this is, as we all know, that we have a family week. That's why we wanted to benefit from one another, to encourage and motivate us in those 3 lectures that come, inshallah, in the next few days. And if we have the sincerity and if we have the ikhlas, we will benefit something. And I'm sure that everyone is here, bi'idhnillah, is for Allah, for Allah's sake. My topic tonight, it's one of my favorite topics that I like to talk about, education and knowledge and ilm, which is a very important, and unfortunately, we are very behind when it comes to knowledge and ilm. We are, as a Muslim community, I'm not talking about certain communities, but when we talk about Muslim community, we are a little bit behind, very behind, fortunately. Even though Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, as we will see, as Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala told us, see inshallah in the lecture, how Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala values ilm and knowledge. So I want to start with this question, and you don't have to answer me, but if you have the answer, just think and reflect upon it. Okay? Think about this question deeply. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala created human being, and He favored human being over other creations that He created, right? He created animals, He created planets, He created moons, stars, this cosmology that we see, or this universe that we see, is being created for human beings. We are not created for these things. Those things that Allah Ta'ala created, He created them to serve us, not us serving them. Okay? But Allah Ta'ala created all these things, the creation of Allah Ta'ala, when we look into it and see it deeply. Among those creation is human being. And whether Muslim or not Muslim, what are the things that Allah Ta'ala favor human being over other creation? What is that special about human being? When we look into that and we try to understand why Allah Ta'ala created us, and He gave us that ability. He did not give this ability to any other creation or creatures that Allah created. What is that? This ability is the difference between human being and other creatures that Allah created. That ability, Allah Ta'ala talked about it in the Quran. And He addressed this in many places in the Quran. And that thing is knowledge. قال الله تبارك وتعالى وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة. Allah تبارك وتعالى is talking with the angels. And this discussion between the angels and Allah تبارك وتعالى. So the angels asked Allah, you are created human beings that will spill blood and kill one another, because there's many interpretation. We're not going to interpretation. It's not a tafsir class, but there are many interpretations because they experience, because they seen things, the angels alayhi salam. So Allah tabarak wa ta'ala said He knows what the angels don't know. And the one of the favors that Allah tabarak wa ta'ala went to create Adam, He gave him the ability of learning. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. So the ability to communicate with others. Communicating with others, it's a knowledge, it's a ilm by itself. And when we have that, we'll learn. So that's why the ulama, when they talk about knowledge, ilm, they consider knowledge is type of ibadah. Okay? ولذلك يقولون العلم صلاة السر وعبادة القلب. العلم, it's صلاة السر, is the secret between you and Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And that's how you develop. And Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, brothers, He did not command the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. As we know, He did not command him to ask Allah to increase anything for him. Except one thing. Can anyone tell me? Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala did not ask the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to ask Allah to increase something for him, except one thing. Yes? Jannah? Okay. Maybe. We'll see. Jannah. Yes? Knowledge. Okay. Any other question? Any other answer? Okay. Who said knowledge? Idris. Good job. How do you know that? Or you just guessed? You just guessed. Okay. MashaAllah. Beautiful. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala in Surah Taha told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He told him to say this, وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. There's nothing that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala told the Prophet sallallahu to ask Allah to increase, for that thing, except knowledge, when it comes to knowledge. ولذلك Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahmatullahi alayhi, when he talked about this issue, he talked about the knowledge of the knowledge that's based upon the knowledge of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. Anything that will lead human being to know Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, we should ask Allah to increase us with that. Okay? ولذلك الإمام البخاري رحمة الله عليه, we know Imam al-Bukhari بوب بابا في كتابه في صحيح البخاري. There's one chapter. He says باب العلم قبل القول والعمل. باب العلم قبل القول والعمل. لقول الله تبارك وتعالى فاعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله. Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi, when he goes to Sahih al-Bukhari, there's one chapter. He started with this chapter and he said باب العلم قبل القول والعمل. The chapter of knowledge before action. Right? So before you do anything, we need to understand what is that thing that we do. And based on the ayah in Surah Muhammad, when Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala said, فَاعْلَمْ أَيَّا مُحَمَّدٍ صلى الله عليه وسلم ومن بعده من أصحابه والمؤمنون فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ. So first thing is knowledge. Knowledge is important. Okay? ولذلك الإمام الشافعي رحمة الله عليه, he says طلب العلم أفضل من صلاة النافلة. Seeking knowledge, learning, is way better than, Salatul Nafila. Praying the extra salawat, the nawafil, the salawat that is nafila, like Qiyamul Layl, for example, or Salatul Duha, or Salatul, any sunnah rawatib. Seeking knowledge is more important than that. Why? Because knowledge will open up doors that you didn't know in your life, right? But then there's a beautiful story for the Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi. When we understand this deeply, we will appreciate the ulama. We will appreciate those ulama, whatever they did and how they did it, and whatever they said and how they said that, we will appreciate that. Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi, he was sitting in his garden, Sahara, after Salat al-Dhuhr. And they pray Salat al-Dhuhr, and as soon as Salat al-Dhuhr, Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi was, this is his habit. For Salat al-Dhuhr, he's Quran, tafsir, يعني شرح الحديث, شرح Malik, not Malik, or fiqh. So after Salat al-Dhuhr, he started teaching. One of the people that behind him, he actually stood behind him. And as soon as they finished the Salah, and the Imam started, teaching them, one of the audience, what he did, he stood up and he prayed Salat al-Sunnah. Then after he prayed, he called him, Imam Malik, and he said, what did you do? He said, yeah, Imam, after Salat al-Dhuhr, I went to pray Sunnah. Sunnah is more important, it's important for me. قال والله من الذي قمت إليه خير مما قمت منه. The thing that you went, the prayer that you did, is now more important than the ilm. We're not talking about Salat al-Fara'id. Fara'id, it's obligatory. Nobody questions that. But praying extra Salah and you have no knowledge, we need to talk about it, right? That's what he taught him. So today we want to know, because from experience, we have seen that, and ulama talked about this as well, right? Two things will prevent human being from not learning. Laba arrin wad, qofka inuu cilmiga u raadsado, caqabad ku noqonaya. Two barriers, two obstacles, that if you have those two things, you will never learn. So I wanted to hear from the brothers, inshallah, here. If you have any suggestion, what do you think? What are the two things or the two barriers between you and knowledge? Seeking knowledge. Any knowledge, okay? Can anyone guess anything? Al-kibr. That's our one. Any other reason or barrier? Istihya. Okay. So the ulama talked about these two things. Kibr is like, when you say, this ilm is not meant for me. I don't need this. I'm way better than this knowledge, right? Like someone comes and teaches you, how to pray, for example. Just an example, okay? You think you know better. Al-Hassan wal-Hussein, radiallahu anhuma, one day, they saw an old man, and he was making wudu, right? He was making wudu in a wrong way, in a way that is not supposed to be done. So they went to him from hikmah, from wisdom. So they said, "Oh uncle, Amma, inni ana wa akhi nakhtasim." Me and my brother, we have disagreements how to perform wudu. Would you teach us? So he said, "Okay, show me how you guys make wudu." So the first one made wudu, and he made it perfectly. Second one, he made wudu perfectly, nothing wrong with it. So he said, "Okay, I got the point. It's me who had a problem. It's not you." Right? So when we think we are above the knowledge and ilm, you're not going to learn. You take one course and you think you're better than this course, you deserve more than this. That is one of the reasons or one of the obstacles that people will fail. The second thing, and alhamdulillah, inshallah, I ask Allah, none of us here has that issue with Allah, which is kibr, inshallah. But maybe we have this issue. which is istihya, hishor, right? So, am I going to sit down again and just start the book from the beginning, from scratch, start alif, ba, ta, ta, jim, ha, ha, and then how to recite the Quran, how to learn Quran? No, I'm grown up man now. I'm going to university. I have kids now. You know, it's not meant for me because maybe sometime in my life I missed out everything. Now it's too late for me to go. And and I think that is one of the issues that our communities, Muslim communities, that's why we don't seek knowledge because we think this is not for me. You know, am I going back now to school and start learning from scratch? I'm not going to stay and waste my time. That's one of the concepts that we have. But today, inshallah, tonight, I wanted to tell you from history because that is my topic today. Great history. That people, the ulama, who have learned. Okay, so I want you to pay attention to this because it's very important. I'm going to ask you questions. I know the tea will come, inshallah, but this is very, very important. So, how many? Okay, I'm going to ask now. Okay, how many scholars that you know from history that they start learning ilm and knowledge at the old age in their lives? How many? Okay, none? Many? Okay, so can anyone share with us one of them, maybe, for example? What age they start learning, for example, and what made them learn, right? Once we understand that, that will give us a boost, inshallah. Okay? Anyone? Okay, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Okay, so he learned at the old age of his life. Okay, so yes, the question, my question, Hassan, my question, very important question, okay, for you and for everyone. So the question is, do you know from history any scholar who start learning knowledge? Whatever knowledge, especially if it's ilm al-din. Okay, we're talking about ilm al-din, especially, but any other knowledge, they learned at the very old age in their lives. Do you have that? Do you know anyone from scholars? Yes, Abdulaziz. Scholar. Who? Sheikh, no. As if a sheikh, that's a college, that's university. No. No, Imam Ghazali was at the early age. Imam Kisai, okay, that's one of them that I want to share with you tonight. Walid ibn Iyad, that's one of them that I want to share with you. Any other scholars? Imam Ibn al-Jawzi. Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, rahmatullah alayhi. And also Imam al-Izz ibn Abd al. Okay, so maybe 4 or 5. We want to study their history and see when they have accomplished or when they have started learning. Now, alhamdulillah, we are young, very young. But those ulama, they started learning at the old age in their lives. So let's start with the Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, rahmatullahi alayhi. And Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, Musa, and Imam Ibn al-Jawzi, rahmatullahi alayhi, started learning ilm al-qira'at when he was 70 years. 70 years, okay? At the age of 70 years, he started learning ilm al-qira'at. And now, alhamdulillah, you're still young, and you have the chance, and you have the life, you have the energy, okay? So let's keep it quiet, inshallah. Okay, the second one. Okay, so can you guys finish it, inshallah? Okay. Jazakallah khair, Abdul Aziz. Okay. So, who was the first one? The first scholar. One of the boys over there, Ahmed. Can you tell me one of the scholars, the first scholar? Okay, Al-Imam Ibn al-Jawzi rahmatullahi alayhi. Al-Imam Ibn al-Jawzi rahmatullahi alayhi. Okay. Second scholar that we wanted to share this story is Al-Imam Salih Ibn Kaysan or Ibn Kaysan. Okay. Al-Imam Al-Hafiz Al-Mu'addib. Mu'addib ولد عمر بن عبد العزيز. عمر بن عبد العزيز. You guys know Umar ibn Abdul Aziz? Umar ibn Abdul Aziz considered as the fifth Caliph or Khalifa for the Muslimin. Okay, the fifth one. He's from Banu Umayyah, rahmatullahi alayhi, radiallahu anhu. And Umar bin Abdul Aziz he's the Khalifa of the Ummah Muslimin at that time. And his kids, they used to go to this Imam. And this Imam, Salih bin Kaysan, he started learning at the very late or old age of his life. وهو ابن 70 سنة. He started learning at the very late of his life. Okay, Hassan? Hassan? Okay? The very late, inshallah. So, third one, which is his story is amazing. Al-Imam Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam. Does anyone here know Al-Imam Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam? He has a different name. Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam, and he has another name which is known by this name, Sultan al-Ulama. Sultan al-Ulama, the chief of ulama, basically the chief of ulama. And وهو من علماء الشافعية رحمة الله عليه. So this Imam Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam, at the age of 40 to 45, that's what the historians they talk. You know, he had a dream, and it was very winter, like this time on it, very cold. And he was sleeping nighttime. He had a wet dream. There's no wet dream, right? احتلم في المنام. So he had a wet dream. He woke up in the middle of the night. He woke up and he went to the Birka. There's a water outside the masjid. You know, back home, they have a Birka. Okay, in Arabic it's called Birka as well. So what he did was he went there and it was winter, very cold. He took his clothes off. That's when he take shower. He took shower. He came back to sleep and Fajr still is not there yet. He went back to sleep. Second time, he had a wet dream. Second time, he went there again and he took the shower again one more time. Then he came back. The story says he did it for third time. He went back to sleep. Third time, the wet dream came. SubhanAllah, as if Allah Ta'ala extended him the need to learn how to do this, right? So the third time what happened was he went outside and he was almost to die, freeze. It was almost to freeze from the cold. And the people came and he was actually fainted, that's what they said, And then people came and the scholars came to him and said, why are you killing yourself? This is not how you're supposed to do it. There's other ways around. And then he started looking for knowledge at the age of 40, 45 years. So that is our ulama, our history. Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad. Okay? Al-Fudayl ibn Iyad, radiallahu anhu, rahimahullah, he was known with a different name before he became a scholar. He wasn't a scholar, okay? He became a scholar at the old age of his life. But before that, he was qati' tariq, like basically a robber, someone who robbed people, okay, or gangs. They have the group. They are specialized in that. When it comes to their territory, they take all the money, all the property, whatever they have, they take it over everything. And then one night, he came to the city, as planned. He wanted to steal something from one of the houses of someone. He jumped off from the wall, and this man, subhanAllah, is a message from Allah. Everything is qadr. So this man was reciting the ayah in Surah Al-Hadid. ألم يأن للذين آمنوا أن تخشع قلوبهم لذكر الله وما نزل من الحق. Isn't it time yet for those who are turned away from Allah Ta'ala to come back to Him? Isn't it time for them? So the ayah touched his heart. And from that moment, he said, Bala Ya Rab. Ya Rab, time has come. I'm ready to change Ya Rab. From a moment, just one ayah touched and changed his life completely to become one of the scholars, one of the early scholars in our Islamic history. It's amazing. And he was one of the عارفين بالله تبارك وتعالى. والفضيل بن عياض رحمة الله عليه ورضي الله عنهم أجمعين. Okay? ولذلك there's a beautiful words by Imam Shafi'i رحمة الله عليه that I wanted to share with you, and then we will go inshallah تبارك وتعالى. الإمام الشافعي رحمه الله عليه لا يطلب أحد هذا العلم بالملك وعز النفس فيفلح، ولكن من طلبه بذلة النفس وضيق العيش وخدمة العلم وتواضع النفس أفلح. I wanted to break it down a little bit because we need to understand what he's saying Imam Shafi'i رحمه الله in these beautiful words. He says لا يطلب أحد هذا العلم بالملك وعز النفس. Anyone who's seeking knowledge, anyone who's trying to seek knowledge in Islamic perspective, if you seek knowledge for the sake of people to praise you, people to thank you for the knowledge that you give them, or the ilm that you have, people talk about you, oh, what a great shaykh, what a great man, what a great scholar. People, they talk about, if that's your intention, that I'm memorizing the Quran because I want people to talk about me, and وَعِزَّةِ النَّفْس, and then with arrogance, you're not going to benefit from it, he said. And absolutely, this is something that is proven, by the history, right? People, if they have that mentality and they have that intention, that niyyah, they're not going to learn, even if they memorize everything. But history is not going to have mercy on them because they will be gone, right? ولكن من طلبه. But if you seek knowledge, بذلة النفس, you put yourself before Allah Ta'ala. You humble yourself before Allah Ta'ala. وضيق العيش, and your life, you are challenged with life. In history, Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi, and all the A'imma, especially the four A'imma, except with few exceptions, like Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi, they have difficulties in their lives. The Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi, he was born, to some historian, the history when you read it, he was born and he was orphaned from day one. Some others say no, it was after 2 years. Regardless, he was raised as an orphan, right? Only with his mom. His mom was there for him. And they used to go back in, at that time, there's no books to write any, pens or anything. They go to bones and the maqaq or those things. They use that. And he said, I used to go and work for some people just to buy the bones of animals. So then I can write down my knowledge, the knowledge that I want to learn, right? Same history with Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, rahmatullahi alayhi. Same history with many of the scholars. They struggle. So don't think that, if I want to learn, I have to be rich. No. You can be rich, alhamdulillah, if you have that, and Allah giving you that, alhamdulillah, fadlullah wa ni'am. But if not, most of the times, Allah will test you. The knowledge that you're seeking, Allah will test you, put you through tests. So, وَخِدْمَةِ الْعِلْمِ, and you have to serve the knowledge that you are learning, which means you have to give the zakah of the knowledge. So Allah Ta'ala has given you one ayah today. What is the zakah of that ayah? How much you're supposed to pay? Scream. How much you're supposed to pay? If Allah has given you one ayah tonight, what are you supposed to give the zakah? Huh? What is the zakat al-ilm? Zakat al-ilm. You know, you have wealth, you have money. What is zakat al-mal? You give zakat, right? A percentage. What is zakat al-animal? You have animal. You have to give zakat, right? You have houses. You still have to property, right? If it's own it's for business. So what is zakat al-ilm? So you deliver, teach other people. That is the purpose of ilm. Is if ilm is kept inside you, what's the purpose of it? What's the benefit of it? Right? If you're not going to teach other people, and if you're not going to be a representative for that knowledge, what's the benefit? Right? طيب. Now let me ask you this question. العلماء الرحالة. Have you guys heard of that? علماء الرحالة. Rahala means ulama, scholars, they devoted their time and their life just seeking knowledge. From this town to another town. From this country to another country. From this continent to another continent. Have you guys heard of those? Anyone that comes in your mind, that ulama, they left their homeland just to seek knowledge. Ulama of تبدأ مكان وحكى علماء ودك وذكر بحين مقالوه كلامته قدامك كلا قاعدين just for the purpose of seeking knowledge. So you have some people in your mind, right? Beautiful. Let me share with you, inshallah, ta'ala, few of them. Maybe we will agree on those, inshallah. Number one. Musa alayhi salam. وهو نبي, right? Musa alayhi salam is a Nabi. And أولو العزم من الرسل, right? He traveled just to meet Al-Abd al-Salih. Regardless the discussion of the ulama, whether he was a Nabi or a wali or an angel, regardless that he meant, right? The purpose. Most of the ulama they say he's a prophet as well. But anyways, in case. Musa alayhi salam, one day he was given a lecture or khutbah or kalam to the Banu Israel, and he was asked this question: who is the most knowledgeable human being on earth? What Musa alayhi salam said, I am, without consulting with Allah, without asking Allah. He said, I am the most knowledgeable here. So Allah awha ilayhi, there's someone who's more knowledgeable than you. Go meet him. And what the ayat says, right? حقبة, right? مجمع البحرين. So he left his country. And even he said, even if I spend my entire life just to meet this man, I would do it, he said. حقبة means, الحقب. اللغة العربية الحقب is 80 years. Some ulama they say it's 80 years, but here حقبة, it's plural. Someone, thousands and many years, I'm ready to spend that just to meet up with this man. So Nabi, he's seeking knowledge. And now, alhamdulillah, do we have to go anywhere? Even though we should, right? Especially when you hear someone who's knowledgeable in that area, and if you get some ijazah from that person, from that sheikh, or even طريقة من الطرق التي توصلك إلى الله تعالى. This is something amazing that we need to understand and reflect on, right? But here, alhamdulillah, we are in a time that everything is just a matter of what? One button. There's a lot of websites, universities, Islamic courses, a lot, many. Is there anyone out there who's looking for that? That is the question, right? So Musa alayhi salam wal Khabar. Second, I wanted to share with you is Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. Anyone know? You guys know who is Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu? The boys over there. Ahmed, yeah. Muhammad. Ibn Abbas. Okay. I cannot see. Salman. Do you know Ibn Abbas? Who's Ibn Abbas? You don't know. Okay. Uh, no, come on. Okay, anyone? Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu was the cousin of the Prophet. And also, he was Turjuman al-Quran. Turjuman al-Quran means he would translate the Quran, any ayah, any surah, for whatever incident, for whatever reason that this ayah came in. He will tell you this ayah was revealed day or night, winter or summer, traveling or sitting with the Prophet ﷺ, while he was sleeping or anytime. Anything that you ask him about the Quran, that's why it's called Turjuman al-Quran. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made a dua for him, right? Do we know the dua that the Prophet made for Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu? قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. This is before the death of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, few years. قال اللهم علمه التأويل اللهم فقهه في الدين وعلمه التأويل. Okay, well, Allah teach him and give him the understanding of this deen and also the interpretation of the Quran. علمه التأويل. التأويل here is an interpretation the ulama said. Anyways, did he just say, okay, the Prophet did me the dua for me and then that's it? I'm going to wait for the knowledge, knowledge will come to me. Did he say that? No. After this dua, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam يلتحق بالرفيق الأعلى. What happens? Ibn Abbas, he was under 15 years, less than 15 years, okay? Like 11, 12, 13 years old, young. We have here about, we have many of them, right? So he went to his friend, his best friend. He said, Ya Fulan. You know, he said, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is not here now. And the Sahaba are kulthum. The Sahaba, and many are here right now. We have Abu Bakr. You know, big Sahaba, scholars. So it's better for us to go and learn. Are you going to be interested? He said. This man, you know, sometimes you meet with people and they tell them, you know, let's go and study. Let's start reading Quran. Or for example, let's go to university. Let's go to something. And that person, there's that person who says, you know, it's too late now. Who's going to need you at the end of the day, right? So you're going to learn, okay, there's other shaykh, there's other ulama around you. Who's going to come and ask you questions at the end of the day? You and me and you, that's it. We don't need to do that. We don't want to bother ourselves. Let's stick with our comfort zone. Stay and ask, but that's it. He said, no, I have to find. So he started learning. Before he reached 20 years, 15, 17, 18 years, he was one of the greatest scholars among the Sahaba رضوان الله عليهم. لذلك يروى قصة عجيبة. It's a beautiful story by, you know, Sahaba رضوان الله عليهم. Al-Imam Ibn Abbas رضي الله عنه, you know, he mastered Arabic. He mastered Shi'r. He mastered Ansab. He mastered the Hadith. He mastered the Israeliyah. He mastered the tafsir of the Quran. He mastered all the knowledge at that time. He was the top one. To a point that Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu used to bring him to where? To the meetings of Ahl al-Hal wal-Aqd. You know, 17, 18 years old boy coming to the meeting of the greatest Sahaba at the time of, you know, the Sahaba of Umar bin al-Khattab is up with Uthman, Ali, the greatest Sahaba, right? So even, you know, some of the Sahaba, they had that issue. They said, why are you bringing this young man? You know, we don't need him around because we're talking about big issues now. You don't have to bring him with you. He says, "As'alukum su'ala." I will ask you a question, and if you answer, then we'll talk. If not, then this guy will answer. قال إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ما سببها? What is behind? What is the reason behind it? So the Sahaba, everyone said, you know, this is ayah, this is the surah that came to the Prophet, and that's all we know. Then he asked Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he said, what do you thought of this surah, Surah Al-Nasr? قال ذاك نعي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is an indication that the Prophet ﷺ has completed the mission and it's time for him to leave this world, to meet up with Allah Ta'ala. It's time for him. So all the Sahaba, they were shocked. Said, Arja. He's one of the greatest amongst us. So anyways, the story that I wanted to share with you about Ibn Abbas radiallahu anh is in his house. You know, he has a small house. It's not like our houses at this time. And he has one of the servants, Al-Khadam, الذين يخدمونه رضي الله عنه. So people will come from every corner from the city and outside the city, Mecca, also from Iraq and Basra. They come together just because they want to meet up with Abbas رضي الله عنه, take the يعني السند أو الأسانيد عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنه. And then he will tell his, he went to pray, and he will tell his servant, he will say to him, go outside and tell those, those people outside, tell them whoever is seeking knowledge, Quran and tafsir, let them come. So people who are seeking knowledge in the Quran, they will enter the house of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. Only those people enter. And they will ask questions. And then he will say, okay, now it's time enough for you. Other brothers waiting for you outside. Give them a chance, let them come in. So they will leave, and he will say, okay, now let the people who are seeking the ansab, the tribe, this Qabil Fulani, and this ilm al-ansab. Whoever is seeking that knowledge, let them come in. They will come in, they will ask all the questions they have, and they write down, and they leave. Now they will say, من كان يسأل عن أشعار العرب, the shi'r al-Arab, let them come in. من كان يسأل, until from Fajr all the way to Salat al-Isha. The whole full day. That's what he did. And then this, do you remember the guy? Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, from day one, the one who told him, let's go and learn. He saw that majlis. He saw the people are coming to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu from every corner. And he said, this man was smarter than me. He made it. By what? By seeking knowledge. Right? Okay. رحلة Abdullah, Jabir ibn Abdullah that I wanted to share with you, and then inshallah we will share a few other things, and then we will conclude it next time. Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu, one of the Sahaba, and this Sahabi, he heard that there's a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam which he did not hear from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he was told that there's only one Sahabi that is still alive who heard it directly from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, tell me where he lives. I need to go and meet him. Now if they tell you, there's this knowledge, only one person in the corner of the city or the different area from the different city that has this knowledge. Of course, people will go, they want to take that knowledge from him. So Jabir ibn Abdullah said, okay, where's that man? Where's the Sahabi? I want to meet up with him. They told him, he is in Sham. He's in Medina and Sham. So that's about 1 month. For what? For one hadith. For one hadith. He would travel from Mecca, from Sham, from Medina, over to Sham, 1 month go, or 1 month back. 2 months walking. Right? So he got his camel, he got ready, 1 month traveling. He went all the way to the house and he reached the time of Asr. And he knocked the door. And this Sahabi, Unais ibn Abdullah al-Ansari of the Prophet. قال يا أنيس سمعت حديثا من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ولم أسمع. And I heard the hadith that the Prophet said this, but I did not hear it. Did you hear it? He said, nah. وماذا كان? He said, what hadith that you're looking for? He said, hadith يوم القيامة, about the day of the judgment. how Allah Ta'ala will judge between His creation. How? How He's going to do that? I want to hear from you. It's a beautiful hadith and it's a scary hadith at the same time. Okay? So I wanted to share with you inshallah بإذن الله تبارك وتعالى. فقال له الصحابي الجليل أنيس في المغامر قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول, he said, I heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم saying this, يحشر الله العباد أو قال يحشر الله الناس. Okay? قال وأومأ يده صلى الله عليه وسلم وأومأ يده الشام. Allah تبارك وتعالى on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah He will gather people, the servants of Allah تبارك وتعالى, Muslim, non-Muslim, everyone. He will gather them together, all of them. وأومأ بيده, he indicated his hand to الشام, بلاد الشام. قال وأومأ بيده إلى الشام. قال عراة. Okay, listen to this. عراة غرنا بهما. Three things, three descriptions, okay? He said he will gather people on the day of the Qiyamah, عراة غرنا بهما. Jabir ibn Abdullah said, I'm a Sahaba, actually the Sahaba of the Prophet at that time, they said, Ya Rasulullah, عراة حفاة عراة غرنا بهما. ما بهما. It was new to them, new word for the Sahaba. So عراة, they're naked. Everyone on the day of the Qiyamah will come naked. Okay? And غرلا أي غير مختونين. Good. Okay? They're not circumstances. So غير مختونين. And then بهما. بهما means they have nothing. They have nothing. No cars, no money, no house, no account, no the bank account, nothing. بهما means nothing. Nothing with them. قال ما بهما؟ قال ليس معهم شيء. قال فيناديهم الله تبارك وتعالى بصوت يسمعه من بعيد كما يسمعه من قريب. Allah تبارك وتعالى will call upon them and everyone will hear. The person that is very far from the meeting, he will hear the hadith, he will hear the salt that comes as if he's very close to that person or to the caller. فيقول أنا الملك أنا الديان أنا الملك أنا الديان. I'm the king. لا ينبغي لأحد من أهل الجنة أن يدخل الجنة وأحد. He says there is no right today. It's not right. It's not fair today that anyone who's going to Jannah to go and enter Jannah and there is someone from the people of hellfire is waiting something from that person. So on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, you do, you pray and everything's good, beautiful, mashallah. But you're not going to go to Jannah because you did something wrong to your brother, whether Muslim or non-Muslim. Okay? الحديث هذا يقول مسلم ولا مسلم يطلبه بمظلمة ولا ينبغي لأحد من أهل النار أن يدخل النار وأحد من أهل الجنة يطلبه بمظلمة. And even the person who is going to hellfire, he's not going to go to hellfire if there's anyone from the people of Jannah still waiting something from him. He did something wrong to that person. قال حتى اللطم. Even one slap. You slap someone for no reason. You slap someone for no reason. حتى اللطمة. Then قلنا يا رسول الله وإنما نأتي بهما. You say يا رسول الله, nothing with us. بهما. على إيماننا. The day of القيامة. قال بالحسنات والسيئات. On that day, we buy hasanat and sayyat. Will be taken from your hasanat and will be taken from your bad deeds. So Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala yarhamuna wa rahmatuh. Okay, these are the scholars and the Sahaba that traveled around the world and they seek knowledge and they try to understand, to connect themselves with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Sometimes we need without leaving our comfort zone. Sometimes there's a lot of lectures, There's a lot of things on YouTube that we can benefit from it, even though I don't recommend that because internet is not a way of seeking knowledge. To be honest with you, because internet, everyone comes and everyone says something, and if you don't have the basic and the foundation of it, you will get confused. Trust me, because when you hear a lot of different opinions and you don't know which one is right, you're gonna get confused on that. But at least if you have the basic and the foundation, and you can build upon that, yes, you save. But no knowledge, no basic, no foundation, and you jump in right away to the internet. That's not a good idea. Okay, always start with the basic, and the very basic is Quran. Quran is the basic. And before you move on to any other tools of knowledge of ilm, adawat al-ilm, the adawat al-ilm, the language and the mantiq, which is the logic and the falsafa and the ihsa. These are the tools. But before you move on to the tools, get the foundation first. The foundation is without, the Quran. Quran is the number one. Try to understand the Quran. Try to read one tafsir of the Quran entirely. Your lifetime. Try to spend some time reading from a kitab of tafsir, or listen to a tafsir that you can learn. Because memorization without understanding, it's not going to be as good as if you memorize it with understanding. Okay, that's number one. Number two is the very basic hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The ulama wrote many books about foundations of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and one of the best books that summarize the entire collections of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because when you look into the hadith of the Prophet, there are many hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some ulama they say it's up to 4,000. Some of the ulama they say no, it's up to 6,000. We're not talking about the different narrations. Okay, we're not talking about different ways of the chains of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But when you look into the actual through the Sahaba, it's up to 4,000 to 6,000. Anyways, among those, when you put them together, the ulama, they wrote books, and one of the best books that put all those hadith together in one collection is Imam An-Nawawi rahmatullahi alayhi, which is Kitab al-Arba'in al-Nawawiyya. And he took all the very foundations of the hadith of the Prophet, starting from An-Niyya all the way to Iman and Al-Ihsan, and then talk about many hadith that you will need it daily. It's not something that you need it, you're not going to need it. No, you will need those hadith on a daily basis, because you need to understand how to worship Allah Ta'ala. And if you get very tafsir, very simple, and to make it easy for yourself without going into details of the ahkam al-fiqhiyya, because the ahkam al-fiqhiyya is extracted from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and other tools, right? That is the second. Third, which is very important, to have very basic fiqh. Okay, and the very basic fiqh is, for example, someone who's doing a business, someone who's trying or planning to open a business, something very important. Do we have to learn anything and everything about business transaction? No, you don't have to. But you must learn it once you think about opening business. Why? Because that is how your business is going to function. You need to understand what is the income that is halal, what is the thing that I need to avoid. Or for example, someone who's not married, you don't have to learn about everything that related to marriage. You don't have to. But once you decide that I want to get married, now you're obligated to learn about fiqh marriage. You need to know, adab al-jima'. You need to understand when to take shower from the jima'. You need to understand if I did something wrong, how to fix it. And I need to understand if anything happens, I got into a fight with my wife, okay, I say something, what I need to learn, الطلاق البدعي, الطلاق الشرعي, الطلاق, all these things. You need to understand when you are guided into that. So if you're not, but what are the things that we are doing on a daily basis? Very basic, right? Salah. So you need to learn, and I need to learn about Salah. What are the basic? What are the ahkam, and the shurut, and the wajibat, and the sunnat about the Salah? Wudu, Sawm. So those are the foundations. Okay? So once we understand that, we will be able to learn more, inshallah, bi ta'ala. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the ikhlas and tawfiq as we started with that dua. جزاكم الله خيرا, بارك الله فيكم. إن شاء الله we'll see you. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.